baby, we're back again. I have absolutely no camera right now, so let's maybe turn that on. My fucking streaming service is once again shitted out on me, so hopefully this stream is not breaking as of right now because it's literally frozen in the background, but we will figure it out nonetheless. Anyways, good morning to everyone out there in cryptocurrency land. It's a new day, it's a new morning, and it starts with a fucking rug pull, as Elsa has learned herself in the early morning hours. Sure, her coins are wrecked, are very wrecked, and definitely my stream is actually quite wrecked here too. It is exactly as we expected yesterday. The Trump and Melania meme coins, not the best idea. Not the best idea at all. It's already... You still had... Elsa says, who cares? I had fun. Yes, I think you had fun. I'm not sure if everyone else had fun, though. Anyways, yes, there we go. Finally, I got the camera working, so finally, thank God for that. Looks like things kind of broke in the background here. Hopefully, the stream is still working. Elsa, can you confirm that the stream is still indeed working? Because... I'm actually a little bit confused myself right now. It looks like my camera's also frozen too. Very strange way to start it. Oh, and there it goes. All right, I think I actually know what the issue is here. But we'll figure it out as we go on. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. But I figured we kind of start this stream by shooting the shit as usual, and also looking over here on Coin Market Cap. As I get ready, as hopefully my damn camera works. Anyways, I want to go back to this official Trump coin right here. Again, it's been around. Yeah, it's not working. I'm trying to figure it out, but it's too hard right now. It's too damn hard. It's too annoying, and Streamlabs is too broke to figure it out, even though I paid for their damn service. Anyways, yeah, looking at this chart right here, I do think it's very interesting, honestly. This was my fear with something like this, you know, being, I guess, promoted by the fucking president of the United States. Which is a lot of people have already gotten wrecked on this, despite it, you know, still being up from the actual listing. But a lot of people have gotten wrecked on this. And when people lose money, they get fucking pissed. That is the one way to turn a friend into an enemy, and a great way to destroy many friendships as well. And I just feel like this was incredibly short-sighted, and even like more egregiously crazy is the fact that then his wife goes ahead and does one, and it's down what? It's down more than 50%. Yeah, it's down more than, it's probably like 70% at this point from the highs of yesterday. Of course, you know, we don't expect these things to go up for forever. But again, I'm not making a comment on these as like projects or tokens or whatever. I'm just talking about the logistics of it with, again, a lot of people getting into them probably who have no fucking experience or very little experience with trading, and especially crypto trading, and they immediately get wrecked the next day. It's like, where's my refund? Sorry about that. There's no cancellations on this one. You're actually wrecked, and welcome to the crypto. Go fuck yourself. So to me, I think it actually does. I think that this was a very short-lived and very short-sighted endeavor right here, and I think a lot of people probably agree with that too. I saw a lot of people not promoting, but getting on board with the presidential meme coins over the weekend, and like I get it, the hype, but this hype train is not going to go on for forever, especially with an event like we had yesterday. I do think that is very important to say that is high probability for playing out a very volatile pullback. I do think that this pullback will eventually be an opportunity, but man, as it stands, I mean, things can get a little bit worse than where they're at right now. But as we'll get into the actual analysis in a bit here, I do think that there is still hope, or there is quite literally still hopium. In fact, the Bulls still have the ball in their court primarily, but one thing needs to not happen, honestly, rather than things that do need to happen. I'd actually put the focus and emphasis on what you do not want to happen in the next couple days here, and I expect that is going to give us the big sort of green light as to whether this is the fucking rocket ship that I think a lot of people are looking for, or if this is going to continue on with a just gigantic sideways range. Probably, I guess if it does like another month, perhaps. I mean, that is par for the course with Bitcoin, right? It spends like 2 to 3 months consolidating and then like 2 to 3 weeks moving and then back to consolidation. What's up, Mr. Alex Switch? Good morning to you, man. Good friend from Greece, the best country in all of the world, next to America, of course. The Gulf of America. It has been renamed, as I saw some comments earlier. Are we planning to go to the Gulf of America? Actually, we will be going to the Gulf of America in the not so distant future. Very excited about that. Checking out some places in the States, as figure we might get a winter place there. So we've been talking to all kinds of people about that, but you don't give a fuck about that. I will get back to the comments right here as I take off my pants because it's too fucking hot in this building. Like, that's okay. These houses are built so well here in Finland that they get so hot even though it's like negative 10 degrees Celsius outside right now. Anyways, Blade Runner has an interesting comment here. He says, Krown, yesterday reminds me of the first trading day of the Bitcoin ETF, pump followed by a 20% dump incoming. I wouldn't say a 20% dump. No, I think worst case scenario here, we get like a 10% dump, honestly. If it's more than that, then something else completely different is going on. But, still, I would say that the Bulls still have the ball in their court right now. I'll just kind of spoil the surprise as to why I'm saying that, and then we'll get back into some chatting as we wait for people to join in. But it's very, very simple. Just the most simplistic piece of analysis. 5-day time frame, which closed last night, so we have a completely fresh one, is still above that red 5 exponential moving average and has thus far found a wick to it. On that short-term move to the downside that we saw overnight, or at least overnight for myself, again, being here in the Eastern European time zone. So as long as Bitcoin's above there, I'm going to be favoring the bulls. I'm going to be looking at this as very likely an opportunity, but that is kind of, the line in the sand. If you just want the most simplistic piece of analysis, of course, we can go much more in depth than that, and we will go much more in depth than that in the not so distant future. But that is, I truly do think that in these times, something very simple to be mindful of and to be watchful of is the way to go, because it doesn't need to be any more complicated than that. Below there, especially on a closing basis, you can expect Bitcoin to very likely have another 10% move or so to the downside, somewhere back down to that $90,000 base. And I would be looking for a bounce there as well. Just be playing coast to coast again, which is probably max pain for most people. Max pain is not down. Max pain is not up. Max pain is sideways while everyone is exuberantly irrational. But, I do think that it deserves to be said that with the first crypto president coming into power, which I do think that he will be, although we didn't speak about crypto or Bitcoin at all yesterday. These things still are going to take time. Like, yesterday's event had sell the news written all over it. Except the big thing with yesterday's event is that that's not the whole fucking presidency. We have 4 years of this shit. So I don't think that things are like just over like that. I think that they're going to take a little bit of time to transpire. I think you got to give these things a little bit of breathing room, honestly. Which is why I do want to be a little bit more lenient personally on price action day. So if you are heavily leaning towards the bearish side, you're probably not going to like that. But again, that's just my rules, and my rules are primarily based off of my experience, and my experience has told me that trend is your friend until the end of the trend. And so as long as Bitcoin is keeping above these key areas, you're going to hear me be continuing to be bullish. Bitcoin closed below. Okay. Then that's where I changed around a little bit. Chicago CBOT. What about it? I actually used to work right across the street from that, above the CBOE, actually. Hi, K Diddle. K Diddle. Great name. Great name. Maybe related to, of course, P. Diddy. K Diddle and P. Diddy. I'm hyperventilating as well, sir. It's all over. Holy shit. We'll never be the same. Crypto's going to Mars. No, crypto's going to Uranus. No, crypto is having a massive red dildo shoved across everyone's massive bullish bungholes. And now we're all fucking popsicle shish kebabs. 20 ponies for Bitcoin. Indeed, ma'am. Indeed. back to the mayonnaise sandwich. Yeah, put all your stakes down. It's over, baby. Bitcoin crashed to $100,000. Did you just hear what I said? Bitcoin crashed to $100,000. I mean, that is a fucking insane statement. Numbers are just numbers at the end of the day, but that is fucking crazy. Anyways, it did not break a key area that I said a few days ago. No, it did not, actually. I think you have a different interpretation of what I say than what I actually said, sir. I see also some other interesting comments. Is it a Trump and dump or a pump and Trump? I think it's a Trump and dump and then very likely pump. The question is, how far down we come first? You know, I still do think that overall this market does go higher. It's just the timing of this becomes a little bit more variable. It would have been so easy yesterday if things did close above about, what was it exactly, about 103, a little bit above 103. And unfortunately, we did not get that. In fact, Bitcoin closing literally just below it at just above 102. So, you know, doesn't really make things easy for today, unfortunately. Still buying or using some suntan spray when going out of my cave? Yes, indeed, sir. You should. Protect your skin. It'll help you live longer. Matador MC says, Elsa. How dare you, sir? How dare you? I find that offensive. How would you draw the fib extension? Just, go to my channel's playlist. Go to the TA 101 playlist. It'll be in there, sir. It'll be in there. We're not going to be going over that in a video like this, which is primarily focused on analysis, sir. See some fart coins, some fart coin requests. Today will actually be a very good day to be looking at some of these shit coins or fart coins, I guess. It does seem to me just from like a very cursory glance that Bitcoin is the only one that's holding up like decently well right now. Everything else kind of under pressure. So I suspect that when we go across all of the alts, if we do see them showing a lot more bearishness than Bitcoin, then that's going to be a sign to me as well that Bitcoin does come down. But that is it. Anyways, fight fear. I fucking love this comment that I get from people. Mr. Krown, thank you for your insights. May I ask, why do you seem to ignore, you bastard, you fucking ignored the bearish divergence on the monthly Bitcoin? Sir, holy shit. I don't know who needs to hear this. I don't know who needs to see this. But let's go over here. Is there monthly bearish divergence? No. How can you possibly have you can never, like, this drives me absolutely fucking insane. I get so angry about this. Because it's such a foundational thing. You cannot ever in any scenario, ever, possibly ever have any divergence, bullish or bearish, until you have confirmed local highs or local lows, two of the same kind. Then you can compare momentum oscillators, and at that point, yes, you might have some bearish divergence. If Bitcoin confirmed a local high here, would there be bearish divergence on the monthly? A very slight amount, but yes, it would be present. Is this a local high right here? Obviously fucking not. And if you were to short every time that you saw the potential for bearish divergence before that local high was confirmed, you're going to go real broke real fucking fast. Just like people who long on bullish divergence before you actually get a confirmed local low. It can always go fucking lower, just like in this case, it can always go higher. So that one really drives me insane, just because it's a very simple fucking concept. Yeah. And at some point, long term, there will be some bearish divergence related to this high here, but that is still well and far away. Again, you need to confirm a local high, and you already played out that divergence actually over here on that move down to the 21. So I'd even say that that's not even available. You're in a new regime right now. You're doing something different, and you're probably going to get two peaks anyways. So it is what it is, man. Waiting for the MicroStrategy dump. Well, I don't know. Let's see. What is MicroStrategy looking like? We'll get into the actual Bitcoin analysis. When I look at the monthlies, I'm just not bearish on these things. I'm just not. Like, I'm not bearish on a monthly that looks like this. I think that this is also short-sighted, to be honest, man. Like, where the fuck are you getting that? Maybe it does have a pullback. It can have a pullback, but it's all about where those monthlies close. And for right now, still honestly, keeping above the most key and important regions, at least for right now. When it changes, I'll change. But until then, I will not change. All right. Almost done with my caffeine today. Then we'll get into the actual analysis. It looks like we have 1,100 people watching right now, which is crazy, which is awesome. Hopefully everyone's having a nice evening. Some people not having a nice evening. it was very interesting to watch the inauguration yesterday because you had on one side of the aisle, you saw all of the people on the right side, or on one side of the aisle, you saw all of the people on the Republican Party, and on the other side of the aisle, you saw everyone on the Democrat Party, and they, like, there couldn't have been a greater split in expressions analyzed from these people. It's like, Jesus, man. That must be what do you want?
Obviously, I was kidding. You're amazing, and you know it.
What? I'm joking. I don't care. No, I think that you actually hate me. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, please, for the love of God. Krown is no moon Carl. Can I speak to manager, please? Would you like to speak to Carl? Unfortunately, I don't actually know him that well, so I can't help you in that regard, sir. I can't help you in that regard. I think I got a couple more sips here, then we're good to go. Melania looked quite elegant. Yeah, she had a good fashion sense, I suppose. I think Joe was having a fun time, honestly. Like, Joe was the only one in the Democrat side that looked like he was having like a good day. He really does. His facial expressions, everything. Fucking crazy though. And the craziest thing that I think really went under the radar from yesterday, or at least from what I can gather right now, it's gone under the radar. But during the inauguration, Biden pardoned like all of his family, which is, it really makes you think. I mean, that, like, when you read history books and you read stuff like this, they usually is not followed by like good actions. I don't know what, we don't know what they did. They were just pardoned indefinitely for any crimes that they may have committed. That, what does that sound like to you, sir? Do you have an analysis on this? Questionable. Yeah, it's a little bit strange. Like, why? I don't know. All right, there's the last of my caffeine. Got my water over here. What are you cackling about?
Krown beats his wife.
Krown beats his wife coin. Yes, that's right. I will be beating you now indefinitely. All right, let me get my notes back on over here. Let me just make sure that I got everything. Okay. Let's actually start maybe on a small chart like this. All right. Today's analysis will be very short because there are just a couple important things for Bitcoin here. With yesterday's inauguration, we were expecting some volatility. Of course, that can come with some downside price action. Indeed, we did see some downside price action. Bitcoin, however, is still remaining above key levels as of right now. So in today's video, I want to be going over the exact pivot point for Bitcoin that, in my opinion, will change everything. No, it'll change the short-term and medium-term outlook from bullish to bearish. Now, of course, yesterday we were looking for some easy indications that Bitcoin actually was going to fulfill the breakout. That was based off of the 5-day and the 10-day timeframe closing periods right here, and they closed below the pivot points that would have confirmed the overall bullish resolution that we were looking for from several of our setups. Those pivot points were all around, with small differences, at around about $103,000. Bitcoin obviously closed below $103,000, actually closing at 102, but closing below is significant. And unfortunately, I cannot call a breakout just yet. Of course, the 10-day time frame as well did not confirm the engulfing because, of course, it did not close above that same pivot, just above about or just around about 103. So, unfortunately, we get to play the game. We get to play the game now of what the fuck is this thing doing, which is everyone's fun game, which is everyone's favorite game. And for me, during these times, I just want to say at the outset, I prefer not to play these games. I don't like playing these games. But if I had to play these games, I would say this. Look, there is some hopium for Bitcoin here. There is some hopium indeed, because as long as Bitcoin is above that red moving average on the 5-day time frame, you still have the 5-day 5 exponential setup to potentially play out. And Bitcoin has thus far found support off of that during the last night's short-term move to the downside. That is essentially at about $100,000. So as long as Bitcoin is above there on a closing basis, I would be leaning towards still an upside resolution of this. With Bitcoin coming down yesterday after the inauguration, yes, you do expect volatility around those events, but it's a long fucking presidency. Like, it doesn't happen all in one day. And of course, Trump did not talk about Bitcoin nor crypto for that matter. And I think the market did what the market does. It reacts very, very emotionally to these things. But of course, over the coming weeks, I imagine that we do see, I imagine that we do see at least some information about that, which should be a bit of a catalyst for price action. But again, $100,000 on the 5-day time frame, or if you want to be down on a daily time frame, simply just yesterday's low, which was just above $99,000. If you see a daily closure below there, okay, get ready for some actual downside. When I say actual downside, Bitcoin at minimum going back down to about 95-ish thousand, and perhaps even all the way down to 91 to 92. I mean, that has been the base for the past, I guess, couple months now. Yeah, a couple months going back to late November. So, it all hinges upon that fact. Again, daily below about yesterday's low, which was 99,450 on a closing basis. Very, 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 very important distinction there. Or 5-day time frame closing below $100,000, which obviously won't happen anytime soon because the next closure is going to be in 5 days from now, actually, because we just got a new one. As we move on from there, I should again remind myself, because I like to remind myself of these of these important times. What have past elections looked like for Bitcoin? And when we look into it, we've done this a couple times already in the past week. But when we look into it, here's 2013. I mean, just straight fucking up from there, pretty much. If we go down to a daily, maybe we can see a little bit of volatility in the short term. But ultimately, that was just all resolved to the upside. I suppose the next few days had some pretty significant volatility. Yeah, I mean, you do see this tremendously nasty move right here. But again, these were opportunities basing off of key moving averages as the upside trudge continued upwards and onwards. Of course, when we go to the next one over here in 2017, that was followed by actually some volatility over the next few days as well. But again, generally upside. Yes, we did have a correction a couple months later in late March, but even that was an opportunity in hindsight. But I'd really be focused on the short term right here. Again, holding on to key moving averages, that same yellow 21 exponential average on the daily time frame, I do think is kind of key as of right now. And then, of course, the most recent one we have from 2021, which is right here. And this one actually did dump off pretty fucking hard the day following the inauguration. But again, that dump off, as far as closing prices, was essentially your low. Yes, it did retest it a few days later, or about a week later, but that was essentially your low ultimately. So, my question here is Bitcoin going to, if we go back down to or back over to the present times, is Bitcoin going to continue to hold above that again, the key yellow moving average? That's a 21 exponential average on a closing basis. If it does, okay, then that probably is your correction. If it does not, I do think that things can come down, another 10% or so, at which point I'd be looking for a bounce around here and then come back to it after that. Bless you, sir. Anyways, I think that is it for the easy stuff. Of course, there are a couple more other fun stuff that I did forget to mention, namely the HPDR. The 5-day, unfortunately, did close below the median, as is the weekly, a rejection of the median as of right now. Again, still a long week left to go, to be fair. But it is important to be aware of where these things are right now, as the 5-day time frame actually does give a bit more of an interesting guidance for a potential breakout condition. So prior to what I've said right now, we've been speaking about just, I guess, where biases would be upon which price point. But if Bitcoin could close above the 5-day median, which is 104,675, okay, a very exact number. Let's just call it 104,700 to round up there. If Bitcoin can close above there on the next period, that would also be an indication to me that Bitcoin is going to indeed be breaking out, and you will be seeing, somewhere between 120 and 140,000 bucks before the end of maybe even February, but probably March. Until then, it's going to be a bit in limbo, and you can see that the ranges are very, very large. And well, that's why we love crypto. There's a lot of opportunity based off of this volatility. But that's pretty much it for today's analysis. Very short and sweet. because nothing, I mean, there's not much complication to it right now. Really coming down to that $99,000 region or $100,000, depending upon your time frame. And I suppose we find out sometime this week. I figure we would see before the end of this week which side is going to win on that, in that regard. Like I said, my bias is going to be to the upside as long as, as long as Bitcoin maintains those key moving averages. But if Bitcoin breaks them, you're going to hear me switch to a more bearish, slightly bearish, slightly neutral tone, with very likely Bitcoin coming back down to the low 90s, like 91 to 92,000 bucks, and very likely a bounce there. So yeah, that's pretty much it for me. I'm going to check out what the comments are saying over here. See that we already got a shit ton of them. So I will scroll up and we can start off with Mr. Steven Schickman. He's always number one in our hearts as well. And he's looking at Doggy Coin. I'm curious to see what this one's looking like. If the alts are looking a lot more obviously weak, then I think that would be very, 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 very telling for the, I just put up the 5-day time frame right here, which is actually kind of lucky, but I do think that Doggy Coin will see a slight downside move somewhere down around about 31 cents, 31.5 cents, but I would be looking for a bounce there. This is still very obviously a trading range. You did test the top side of the range. You did reject from the top side of the range, very likely coming down now close to the bottom side of the range. So that's why I say 31.5 to 30-ish cents region, but I would be looking for a bounce there. I don't think that this is actually in the process of breaking down. I think this is a bullish reset as 5-day, not moving averages, but 5-day momentum resets here while price is essentially traveling sideways in a major range. To me, that's a signal of long-term reaccumulation in many cases. Anyways, moving on from there. You're looking at Ethereum as well. Any bullish divergence? You have to have lower lows in order to have bullish divergence, sir. And there's nothing right here. There is no bullish divergence, nor is there bearish divergence on higher term timeframes. On the daily time frame, do we have potential for bullish divergence? I mean, you did make lower lows there, so let's see. Maybe yes. I mean, it's possible. I guess, yeah. Sorry, no, I take that back. No, there is not. There is actually not a divergence here to be aware of at all. So I think the more appropriate question for Ethereum, I'm not telling you how to think here, but I think just maybe something that you might want to consider is that it's not about divergences right now. It's about trend. And this one is potentially putting in a higher low from the 20th of January versus what we saw last Monday, actually, which is a slightly lower low. So if Ethereum can actually dig itself out here, trade above yesterday's high and close above yesterday's high, that's going to confirm this as a higher low, and you have a potential reversal on your hands, confirmed essentially above a closure of last week's high, which was Friday's high of 35.25 or so. At that point, I'd be looking for Ethereum to probably put in a move, I mean, at least towards your January highs and maybe even your December highs, in fact. But all kind of hinges upon ability to actually rally from pretty much exactly where it's at right now. It's kind of like Bitcoin. There's not much room for error. These two very, very similar in that regard. There's not much room for error because, if Ethereum does come below, especially yesterday's low, and close a daily below there, well, then you just have continuation, and you have to be looking at another move around 3,000 or a little bit below 3,000. But until that happens, I'm looking at this price action right here as it wouldn't take too much to get a reversal. So there is a real potential for reversal here. I'm curious what our momentum oscillator say. Yeah, daily is not hot. Let's see. Daily will turn back up above 32.40. It's actually above 32.40 right now. So I'd say that's also a line in the sand for the daily. Like, needs to be above there. Needs to dig itself out essentially. Really don't want to see it like that much lower than where it's at right now. Otherwise, that does call into question, but then the potential for a low here. But until that happens, I do think that this is actually trying to put in a low here. And if it is, we'll know before the end of the week. I think very, very likely we'll see the end before the end of the week if these things are going to be happening. Dan says AI16Z. Let's check this one out. Another meme coin, so I'm sure it's doing extremely well, and it is. It's in the fucking dumpster fire apparently, where most of these things belong. Honestly, this one, even though this is an absolute dog shit piece of chart. This is an absolute piece of shit, dog shit, dumpster fire of a chart.
Is it nukeable?
Is it nukeable? Not yet. I mean, I would like to see more history before I nuke something like this, but it's very likely going to be nuked in the future. I do think that it will bounce here. You know, this one could very easily bounce to 1.25 and still be massively fucking bearish. What I'd have absolutely no problem saying is that this is your fucking high for a very long time, very fucking long time, maybe even its whole life. I mean, that is a fucking tremendous move already just to get back to prior all-time highs. Yeah, it's a 150% move. I guess not that crazy for a meme coin, but while I do think that you're going to bounce here, again, just remember, as long as you're below your mid-January highs, it's just another lower high, and it could very easily look something like this, putting in a big bounce, 50, 60% bounce, and then come down like this. I really hate charts that look like this. It is a little bit early to be calling this one like totally wrecked, but it's like you can see it in the future almost. It's very likely to bounce here. Very likely to fail on that bounce, I would imagine. I do not think that this one is surviving long term, to be honest. Anyways, Couch Commander 5000 says Baron Trump in all capitals. Are you like a fan or something, or is that like a token? The Baron Trump, is this a thing? Oh my God, there is a fucking Jesus Christ, man. This shit is just out of control. It is rallying. I don't have any analysis on something like this, man. I'm guessing it's not on TradingView. Let me see. Baron. Yeah, it's not on TradingView. It is rallying. I mean, that's better than going down, obviously, but I don't know, man. Maybe I'm crazy, but I'm very skeptical of these meme coins. I'm very skeptical of these political meme coins, especially. This one, a market cap of almost $500 million, like just fucking insane, man. Sorry. I completely misread that. It is not $500 million market cap. It is $500,000 market cap. Holy shit. Even worse. But look, I don't have a real opinion on this, man. These things, because they are such low market cap, they actually can pump quite hard, given just about nothing behind it. Anyways, moving on, we have Martin Hunt. He says, can you please look at Fartcoin on the 4-hour and daily? By the way, if you're watching this in the future, you can also participate in these live stream Q&A type things in the Discord link, which you can find in the description below. All I need to do is find your way over here to the weekly Q&A session and go to the most recent week, and you can post whatever the hell you want. Anyways, all right, let me get back to the actual chart right here. All right, so Martin Hunt's looking at Fartcoin. Let's check it out. This one was one of the most highly esteemed meme coins of them all, and actually, I don't think that this is terrible here. The weekly is coming down to a key region. I think it could come a little bit lower. If it wants, it can come all the way down to about 145 or so. But I'd be looking for a bounce there. If not, maybe even a little bit earlier at around 150 or so. So short term, does it come a little bit more down? Yes. But I would be looking for a bounce right here. And that would be another higher low. So, my system says don't get bearish just yet. Yes, I am very skeptical again of something called Fartcoin. but at the same time, don't underestimate how crazy a market can get. But yeah, either which way, I would be looking for this one to come a little bit lower, but also bounce somewhere around here. And then does that bounce, bring it back above about 220, I guess. If it does, then trend is on to the upside. If it doesn't, then you have your first objective lower high, and that is probably going to be the long-term exit signal if that does happen. So it really all depends upon what it does after this current move to the downside and then bounces. If it bounces and fails, especially below like $2, if you see that bounce like just peter out below $2, that's your fucking sign, man. That is your sign that this thing is probably going to be done for a long time as well, and making a nice comeback down well below $1. I would imagine probably somewhere closer to like 70, maybe even 60 cents, which is a tremendous percentage move from where things are at right now. If you're at the very, very low term timeframes, I'd say the same thing. Short term has a little bit more downside, and then very likely a bounce. Pray for the bounce. Pray for the bounce. For your sake, sir. Cameron Malpe says, Giga USD, please. Sure, man. Actually, we did look at gig. I actually remember that we did look at that on Friday, but perhaps, I don't know, maybe it isn't here. It's possible. It's somewhere there in the, what's it called? What are they called? The timestamps. Yes, the timestamps, we'll have them. But yeah, looking at GigaChat here, not the strongest meme. In fact, this one at best is ranging on the daily. We see a range between, what is it, about 80, or sorry, not 80, but 8.3 cents to the upside versus your lows of essentially the last month of January, somewhere in very low 6 vicinity. You did just reject from the top side of the range. So, usually you're going to play coast to coast or at least come back down close to the bottom side of the range. I do think that will happen on this one. I do think that this one, that this one will trade probably below at least 7 cents, but just like the last one that we looked at, Altcoin, I think you can come a little bit lower here and then still bounce. I do think that you're going to bounce from there. And then the real question is, does this bounce bring you above 8.3 cent? If it does, okay, then this is a breakout. This is probably going to make new all-time highs. But until then, I would just, I'd say at best this thing is consolidating. But I would have, I guess, a slight bullish bias as long as it holds this range, as long as it just doesn't trade below your mid-January lows. I guess you can still have hopium there, but just understand where these things do start to fall apart. Because if you do take out January lows, then you actually have a lower high and a lower low. Big problems after that typically does follow. Anyways, Couch Commander 5000 in all capitals says, OMG, I'm having so much fun today. It's a fun day. It's a fun day, man. It's exciting. I mean, regardless of where you stand on things, it's exciting to see something new happen, just for the novelty of it. What? It is fun. Elsa, are you having fun? What is this fun you talk about? No more of that. Don't you know we have a real Nazi as the dictator of America now? Anyways, Peepoo wants to look at Altcoin versus Ethereum. Yes. This is the crypto market. All right. I don't think I'd really say much different about this one than I do about the other one. This one's a lot closer to putting in a low, though. But it's because you're measured against Ethereum, which Ethereum, well, do I need I say more? Ethereum is its own case of weakness, but do I think that you can retest, I don't know, maybe yesterday's low? Perhaps yes, but I'd be looking for a bounce there. And then, does the bounce bring you back above, what was it, Sunday's high? If it does, okay, bullish. If it doesn't, well, you already know where I'm going with that one, man. But this is actually a weird one where you theoretically could see the Ethereum pairing go up, like the Altcoin Ethereum pairing going up, while the Altcoin USD pairing, could potentially be going sideways and down. So I would be aware of that. I think the US dollar chart is a lot more easy. And again, short term, a little bit more to the downside. Bounce, we'll come back to it after the bounce, I guess. Anyways, Simply Gain says, so many people calling cycle top every day this cycle compared to last cycle. Yeah. I mean, that is true. I do think that there certainly are a lot of people calling a top. A lot of people are even calling a top right now with Bitcoin. I saw like someone pull out the Wyckoff schematic or some shit like that on Twitter. I wouldn't be calling this top yet. I still think that Bitcoin likely goes higher. It's just what sort of path does it take before then? Does it correct, for the next couple of weeks and then try, maybe mid-February, possible, or does it actually just, pull its way through here? I don't have a strong opinion on that right now. Like I said, I do lean bullish overall, but this correction can get a lot more nasty if, again, Bitcoin does lose 99 on a daily. Anyways. We have Big Boy says, why are you gay in ARK USDT on CoinEx? Only one question at a time, sir. Sure, man. ARK. Let's see. Bad.
No, first you have to answer the first question.
No, there's only one question at a time, and I'm not going to be answering that. No way. Kidding. Bad, man. Bad. A lot of the time you have some pretty nice shit coins. This one would not be one of them. I do think that it'll likely get another bounce closer to I guess like 1.7 to 1.3 cents, somewhere in that pocket down there. So a little bit lower first and then a bounce. But just like some of the other ones that we saw, I think at best you're doing something like this sideways for a while. At worst, you're going to bounce. You're going to put in a lower high somewhere below like 4.5, 5 cents, and then actually play at the downside. But give it a chance to bounce first. That's kind of where I'm at with a lot of these things. Like give things a bit of space. Give things a bit of space today to bounce and prove themselves. Again, yesterday was a bit of a it's an event, and it's an event, and weird shit happens. So I'm a lot more hesitant to be calling like something much more like severe today, especially when Bitcoin failed to close above our at least the major areas that I was looking for to confirm several bullish setups, which unfortunately did not happen last night. Anyways, we have now oddly satisfying. It says $1 versus USDT on Gate hourly. Okay.
It was wrong arc.
What?
It was wrong arc.
It's wrong arc. Well, is it Big Bull saying it's wrong arc? Because if it's not him, then it doesn't matter. Anyways, terrible, man. Terrible. Like, what the fuck is this garbage? Seriously, like, why?
Oh
Why? Like, why? Dude, why? It's bad. It's coming down. This is a high. This is a major high, and it's probably might not even get back above there ever again. I think you're coming down to half of a cent. Probably try for a bounce there. With the biggest hopium bull goggles on, maybe that bounce brings it above your current 2-cent high, but I would not hold my breath. I think this one's going to the gutter where most of these things belong. Big Bull says, acolite. All right, I'm just going to type this in and hopefully something comes up. Acolyte. Okay, all right, there. I think I found it. I think that's it. I think I found it. Actually, pretty good. Actually, one of the only good charts that we've seen today thus far. I'm a little bit I find this a little bit questionable action right here, but it is still holding its uptrend, and it is still holding a higher low as of yesterday's price action. So I would be treating it bullish, especially as long as it's above what is this, like 3.5 cent. This one actually looks like it might break out, this week. Any sort of closure above 5.5 cent, and you got that, and very likely you're going to see like 7.5, maybe 8 cent after that. But give it a chance here. I mean, again, there's your higher low. As long as you're above there, I'd be bullish. As if you take out that low, get ready for this one to retest your early January lows. Anyways, moving on, we have Ave. I think this way, why do I have this one on my mind? Like, I feel like I've seen or heard a lot about it recently. A little bit better here in the short term, for sure, compared to many things that we've seen today. Ultimately, it is still in a bit of a short-term trading range, but this one, is putting in a higher low with, again, yesterday's price action. I would be looking for it to probably spike again to about 360. I don't know if it's going to break out from there just yet. I could see this one easily trading more sideways within this range, but overall, this one actually is looking decent long-term, especially on the weekly, especially on, I'm going to imagine the monthly as well. Yeah, I'm not bearish on this. It's kind of like Bitcoin. It's like, okay, is that the low? Like, that could very easily be your next higher low. And so I'd say the same thing as Bitcoin here. Look, as long as you're, in this case, the daily, not the 5-day, but the daily 5 exponential right here, which is today's low. So it's using that as a bounce point as of right now, which is a good sign, I think. I'd actually be giving this one the benefit of the doubt and saying this one really could break out from here. Definitely possible. Yeah, 5-day close decently as well. If it does reject again, okay, yeah, probably comes back down a little bit below $300, but I'd be looking at that as a nice accumulation range. Yeah, not the worst long term, not also the best super long term, but in the short term, one of the better charts we've seen today for sure. Anyways, sushi yum yums. Yeah, sushi yum yums. It's like that fucking Justin Bieber song. Yummy, yummy. Girl, you got that yummy, yummy. Elsa's favorite YouTube channel right now is this extremely homosexual man who is a very good dancer, by the way.
It's amazing, okay?
Yeah, no, this is not, I'm not like, it's just, you have to get a picture of this person, okay? It's not like being homosexual is bad. And he does like specific dances to songs like this. And she follows along. It's really funny to watch, actually. Anyways,
My message and
I will pin your message. Throw it up. All right, there we go. AIOZ daily weekly. Okay, AIOZ. Who knows what we're going to find here? In the short, I mean, sorry, I shouldn't say in the short term, but on the daily, not as strong as the last one that we just looked at, but it's not terrible. It's not terrible here. It is a trading range after all, and I do think you probably come closer to the low side of the range. The low side of the range being more accurately at around 75 cents, somewhere around there. I do think that you're going to bounce again, however, so something like this, perhaps a little bit lower, boom, bounce, continue on sideways. If you can trade back above, what is this high here? Your early January highs, then yes, I'd call this one a breakout, and actually should be a decent move to new all-time highs. If it fails to hold the range and it does not bounce here, the bounce puts in a lower high, and you start to see this one close below 75 cents, this one can come quite significantly down, somewhere closer to like 55 or 60 cents. Yeah, somewhere around there in that pocket. But until then, I'd actually give this one the benefit of the doubt, but must, again, hold above that region. Yeah, weekly, same thing, consolidating on the highs. Generally, I'm going to go on the same side of the trend. Trends are more likely to continue than not as they are defined. Anyways, Big Bull says, mode USD. Mode USD. All right. What do we have here? Another one that's, you see a lot of these things in kind of the relative recent times, putting in very similar consolidations, and this one's no different actually. Again, playing out a range, but within this range, it does show a bit of relative strength. You do see higher lows and higher highs throughout this range. So again, I would be biased towards an upside resolution. Even right now, while this one bounces and momentum oscillators are pointing to the downside, I mean, that in my opinion is also a good sign. I still, however, would not rule it out that you might see another short-term downside move closer to like 3-ish cents, but I would be looking for a bounce there. I think that this one's actually, going to reaccumulate and push on through to the upside. I think it just takes some time here, honestly. So yeah, above half of a cent, things start to look, very, very good for this. I mean, above half of a cent, I'd say that this thing is just breaking out to new all-time highs, or maybe not new all-time highs because your all-time high is all the way up here, but perhaps like a big move, like big move, somewhere around 8.5, maybe even 9 cents. Could get crazy, man. Anyways, Sushi Yum Yums is back. He says FNMA, oh, this is Fannie Mae. Oh, it's not a crypto. All right. Daily. Okay. Oh, yeah. Fuck. I forgot. Traditional markets did not trade yesterday. We don't have new data for that just yet. When I'm on the weekly, I do think that this thing is on the verge or on the precipice of breaking out. But is it going to be from this current move right here? I'm not super confident on that. And the reason why I'm not confident on that is because weekly volatility is already at, extremes here. So it technically could pull back, play at a consolidation, and then try for the upside move. I do think that it will at some point break above this, but I'm not convinced that it's literally this move right here. It's going to really depend where this next week closes. If this next week closes basically here or higher, then I'd say, yeah, your breakout is real. Until then, I'd be a little bit skeptical just because obviously traditional markets was not trading yesterday, and better to err on the side of caution during these times. Because if it is going to be a breakout, I mean, this is a pretty massive reversal. I mean, you have monthly and quarterly higher lows and a reversal going on there. So, if it does complete the reversal, I mean, this one can put in a tremendously large move towards 25 bucks maybe. But one thing before the next, like I said, I'd probably err on the side of a pullback here first, maybe even all the way down to like 475, and then try higher. But I can be wrong on that. Maybe it does. Maybe it does just push through here. I do think that that's a little bit less likely though. All right. FPS Alpha says ENA Daily. I know that this one's quite popular with the Arthur Haynes crowd. Not as strong in the short term. It's in its own consolidation range, to be fair, but it's not as strong as the other ones because a lot of the other ones were actually closer to the top side of their range. And just like all the other ones, I do think that it could put in a wick a little bit lower, maybe closer to like 7.5 cents, whatever this low is over here. But I would be looking for a bounce there. Sideways is the name of the game, and very likely a bounce relatively soon after perhaps one more pullback. Although I guess it could bounce from here too. It is possible, obviously. But I wouldn't, the key portion of this analysis would be, I would not be looking at this one as breaking out, and in this case, very likely to retest your 2024 highs until you actually do trade above that last local high. Let's just call it like a little bit above $1 and close the daily above there. Above there, okay, yeah, you very likely see 130, probably maybe even more. I mean, maybe it goes for like a legitimate major breakout and actually goes for the prior all-time high at like 155, 160, but I'd give it a chance here. And of course, below 75 cents on a daily closing basis, at that point, I guess I'd turn around to be bearish. But I would be more lenient with a lot of these things. Or I'm going to continue to be more lenient with a lot of these things, especially with the more shitcoins that we look at. There does seem to be like a running theme with a lot of them. Anyways, let's move on. We have Anthony J. He says Solana. Sure, we can look at Solana. 236 printed new all-time highs just a couple days ago. This one coming off of extreme volatility right here. So when I see something like that, I'm thinking consolidation for a while. Seeing as this one just hit a major high, I think that this one consolidates a little bit lower. Or I guess I already have this one kind of drawn out, but let's just do it for the daily here. Daily, there's your high side of the range. So it rejected the high side of the range. I think you're at least going to see somewhere in the mid of this range. So the 50% level is going to be an area of interest here, and that's 224.5. So a little bit lower. So very similar to many things that we've seen today. I do think that this one goes a little bit lower, and then you're going to see an attempt at a bounce. And, does that bounce essentially bring it back above 265? If it does, then, well, the rest. If it doesn't, then expect more and more sideways, and probably a deeper test towards the bottom side of the range, maybe very likely actually below $200 if that happens. But yeah, it's in this case, I do think that it will be coming at least down to like 225 in the coming week, maybe lower, definitely possible. But still, long term, when I look at the monthly here, I'm not bearish on a monthly that looks like this, especially with 10 days left to go. I mean, if it closes anywhere above 240 at end of month, it's going to be bullish, man. It's going to be bullish, or even especially as long as the monthly stochastic oscillator is positioned to the upside, which it will be as long as it's above 223. So I'd say that's like kind of the lower line in the sand. For that matter. And again, 10 days left to go. Anyways, moving on, we have Tyler. What's up, Mr. Tyler? Let's say you're right about short cycle. Do you think that previously useful cycle top indicators such as pi cycle will still be relevant? If I'm right about that, then I don't think that you hit the pi cycle top indicator like firing off. And to be fair, the pi cycle top was technically not correct in 2021. Now, in terms of price, it was very close to the high, but there was a new all-time high by, I think, about 5 or 10% 6 months later. So you could already make the argument that it already has failed. But yeah, look, if the pi cycle top indicator does not fire off a top, but I see a weekly reversal, I'm going to go with a weekly reversal. I trust trend way more than anything else. Trend is what matters most to me when it comes to actual direction, which I think most people are interested in, because I think from what I gather, most people are, long-term investors. So you're interested in like the weekly, the monthly trend until the weekly trend flips around, or if the weekly trend flips around, I don't care what other indicators are saying. It doesn't really matter to me. That will take precedence over everything. Yeah. What?
Did you do super?
No.
Okay, well, you missed it.
All right, fine. I missed it. All right, we'll do super, because apparently I missed that, although I don't see it anywhere.
Well, I had to find.
All right, I don't give a fuck. All right, let's go look at it over here. I don't care the reason why. Just show me it. Yes, I got it. Okay, I understand. Anyways, super here. We did say last week that this thing could very easily come back to $1. We've now seen that move. So This one, similar to many things that we've seen today, like you're very likely to bounce here. Very, very likely to bounce here. Coming off of the weekly 55 and the daily 377, by the way. So these are very common bounce regions, but it's extremely important how high this one bounced because it isn't a downtrend on a daily. I think even the 5-day at this point isn't a downtrend as well. It is. So, this is where I start to get a lot more, long-term skeptical about something like this because, while I do think it's going to bounce here, it probably bounces up to like 120, which is a big move. It's a big fucking move from where it's at right now. If it gets stopped around 120 or even like 125, that would be my signal that this thing is going to break down long term and find its way probably closer to like 90 cents, maybe even 80 cents, somewhere in that pocket there. But we'll see. It's going to, like I said, it's going to be a long week to go still. And while this one very likely does bounce here, really do not want to see it close on a lower low than your current January lows, which is, basically today's low, like 102. If you see a daily closure below there, that would be my green light for big fucking problems. The grand scheme of things. Until then, this is where you would expect to bounce. It absolutely must bounce here. And at least hold sideways for the next couple of weeks if it is going to survive. But yeah. Anyways, moving on, we have, I forgot, I lost my place because Elsa interrupted me, which I absolutely despise. I absolutely hate that. I hate being interrupted. And whenever I'm like, one of my biggest, my biggest pet peeve that just makes me go fucking berserk is when I'm in the middle of doing something and then I get interrupted by something else. I don't know why, because it's obviously my issue, not someone else's issue, because how could they fucking know that I'm in the middle of something anyways? But I get livid. I don't know what it is. It's the one way to make me just absolutely fucking furious. Anyways, looking at Altcoin, it's bad. This one's topped out for the cycle. I don't. I think that much is obvious. Yes, there's going to be bounces. Might even bounce relatively soon. Might come a little bit lower and then bounce. Either which way. This one's put in a high for a very, very long time. You're seeing the weekly reversal here. The weekly reversal is literally happening in front of your eyes. High, low, lower high, already a lower low. It's a reversal. It's coming down. This thing, I wouldn't be surprised to see it back down around these lows here from September of 2024 over the next couple months. I think that this one's topped out. This is done. This is done for a very long time. It's done for a very, very long time. Yeah, but like I said, it will bounce relatively soon. I just think it goes a little bit lower first, then tries for a bounce. But I mean, look, any bounce that fails to reclaim this high here is your next lower high in a series of lower highs. Just trend, man. And that would be a fucking tremendous bounce anyways. 150%. I mean, it's just, I think very, very unlikely. Very, very unlikely. I think it's a lot more likely that this thing continues on with reversal long term. Davey says, Pippin, 4 hour, please. This one hurts my soul to watch Scottie Pippen do his own meme coin, but I don't know, maybe there's some value behind it. The chart isn't as bad as the last one that we looked at. In fact, it's also not as long, so it doesn't have as much history, but similar to many things that we've seen today, it is within a trading range. This range, the range low has been hit as of Sunday, so I would be looking for a bounce pretty much off this region where it's at right now. We do see, as you requested for the 4 hour time frame, momentum is going to be pointed to the upside. So I think you're in a bounce state right now. Maybe it trades all the way up to like 16, 17 cents, which is actually again a very big move for something like this. But I don't think it's breaking out just yet or anything like that. I think at best you're going to be doing something like this sideways for a while, and then maybe it gets its opportunity to break out above about 20 cents. But yeah, probably bounce a little bit more from here. I do think that it will hold sideways, and I do think that it will probably break to new highs. Just I think that can take some time, maybe like very late January, which, I mean, we're starting to get into kind of late January, aren't we? It's 21st now. Anyways. Crypto Rect says Prime USD weekly. Sure. Prime. Okay. Which one do I want to go to? I guess Coinbase. And you're on a weekly, huh? Okay. Not the worst. Again, not the best. This one is just like many other things in a massive trading range here on the weekly. You did just test the high side of the range. I do think that this one does come lower, probably closer to the midpoint of the range. Let's call it somewhere around the 50% retracement level, which is a little bit lower at $10 in 13 or 14 cents. Probably tries for a bounce there, but you know, like many things, I do think that this one is going to be going sideways at best, and I mean, very easily could come below $10, I guess, but. You know, it's drawing out the LARP lines right there. Long term, you know, on the monthly, I don't hate this. I just think that it could have some more downside. That's all. I don't think that is breaking out right here. I don't think that is breaking out right here. The only way that I'd revisit that statement is if it trades above last week's high, which is 1632. Until then, I think you're going to be going a little bit of sideways, a little bit of downside. But as long as you are holding this sideways range, the hopium for a long-term bullish resolution is still available. It's just, you know, with many other things in this market that are actually already kind of close to the top side of the range, not rejecting the top side of the range, I'd say that those would have relative strength versus something like this. But yeah, not the worst, not the best. I do think that you will come a little bit lower first and then try for a bounce. Something like that, man. All right, take another sip of this water. And Nike Bison Zulu says, hello, sir. Hello, sir, indeed. L3 USDT, okay. All right, this is a new one. Always, like, even though I've done maybe over 1,000 streams, I always see new shitcoins every stream. It's actually insane how many they are. Anyways, this thing, layer 3, I guess. Okay, let me actually go to the exact exchange that you requested. Okay, yeah, fair enough. Not terrible, again, not great. I do think that it is, again, within the same sort of trading range. It does seem to be putting in a higher low, kind of where it's at right now. I just need to see today close above about 10.5 cents, which it's very, very close to right now. So let's just say it let's just say it closes green on the day. If it does that, I'd be looking for another retest of the top side of the range here, 13 cents. Does it break out from there? I mean, it actually could break out from there. This one would have potential because volatility is so low right now, and momentum would be turning up freshly. I mean, that would be a pretty strong signal. Yeah, if it wants to put in a wick lower first, you know, maybe 9.5 cents, but I'd be looking at that as an opportunity. This one is long-term bullish, especially as long as you're above about 8 cents. So a short-term pullback, you know, very likely is followed by a bounce. I think that this one very likely does reclaim these highs in the coming weeks, most likely. And that would actually just send it to new all-time highs. I mean, that basically is the all-time high. So yeah, would be nice for sure. Holding up relatively strong compared to many things that we've seen today. So in a slightly stronger position of power, I would say. All right. Let's see. Brody Bennett says, render daily and weekly, please. Sure. RNDER. Okay. All right. Let's go to this one. Remember, this one was one of the better ones like last year, I think it was. Anyways, this one on a weekly, as you did request, is, you can probably already guess the rest of my statement, is within a major trading range. This one is already, however, in the midpoint of the range. Yeah, it's actually even below, a little bit below the midpoint of the range. I do think that it'd come a little bit lower before it does try for this next bounce, maybe closer to like $6. You know, it's pretty close there already, but I do think it is going to set up for a bounce here, or at least another bounce attempt. You can see several attempts off of the blue 377. You know, you got one, twice, thrice over here. So I'd give it a chance. If you start to close below there, let's just call it like 6.25. At that point, I would be looking for this one to come much further south, closer to the bottom side of the range, somewhere between $4 and $5. You know, somewhere in this pocket right here. If that does fail, until then, I'd actually give this area yet another chance to bounce it. And you're very likely going to know this week if it's going to fail or not. When I look at the higher term timeframes, though, I would say I do think it will actually trade further south, and it will go below $6. But you know, that's just my opinion. Ultimately holding sideways within this overall range, you know, long term is good. So it could very easily come back down here again, bounce, carry on sideways, and do something like this. And I think that's the more likely thing to be happening on something like this. I don't think this next bounce is going to reverse it. But again, that's just an opinion. That's just an opinion. Anyways, degenerate speculator. Very nice name, sir. H bar top targets. Maybe it's already topped. Who knows? Let's see. Did we look at this one earlier or not? I forget. No, I don't think so. Anyways, all right. So you're pretty much close to your all-time highs already. I imagine if we go down to a daily, it's probably going to be a little more obvious that it's in a trading range. It is in a trading range, as all these fucking things seem to be. This one holding up a lot closer to the top side of the range, though, I would say. In fact, I would kind of say the same thing as Bitcoin. This one is very similar to Bitcoin over the last month or so here. Look, if you close below yesterday's low, okay, yeah, it's going to come much lower towards the bottom side of the range, at least 27 cents, maybe all the way down to like 24, 25 cents. Until then, I do think that you have a chance here to confirm the next local low and a higher low if and only if it can trade above yesterday's high. If it can trade above yesterday's high and especially close above yesterday's high, this thing is breaking out to, I think, new all-time highs. Or it should retest the prior official all-time high, probably pull back a little bit from there and then try for like the real breakout. Yeah, that's what I say about this thing. But again, if you do close below yesterday's low, 27 to 23, somewhere down around there. And I'd be looking for a bounce there as well, to be fair. Anyways, moving on. We have Crypto Rect. He says ZRO. Okay, let's check it out. ZRO. This one does not sound familiar to me. All right, well, let's see. Let's be open-minded about such shitcoins. And no, this one bad. No, this one's certainly on the weaker side of things. I feel like we see a similar fractal of almost every chart type throughout a stream. In this one, I forget which one that we looked at earlier that looks very, very similar to this, but I do think you're probably going to bounce pretty much around here. You might even bounce all the way up to $4.50, which is a decent move, but I don't think that's the move you're looking for. I think it gets stopped there. I think the trend is setting into the downside here for a long time. So again, might bounce up like 450, maybe even all the way up to 480. It's possible for sure, but anything below 520, I think that this one's topped out for a long time as well. So, bounces here. If you see any sort of rejection in this region, again, below 520, yeah, I'd get very, very bearish on it. Yeah, momentum down to the downside on pretty much all time frames that matter as well. So I don't look at that as a good sign for right here. Yeah. All right, let's move on. We have XRN. He says, hello, sir. Can you please take a look at HLT stock daily weekly? HLT, what do I know this from? This is Hilton. Yeah, this is Hilton. Holy shit. See how they're doing. Actually pretty well. Actually very well. Anyways, you are talking about a daily and weekly upside price target. I mean, if I could reference my crystal ball and know that would be great. I can come up with some areas of interest, but it's very likely that you've already hit a couple of major ones. If it does want to make new highs, somewhere between 266 to 277 would be where I'd be looking for. I do like that the weekly seems to be putting in a higher low right here. Again, keep in mind that for all the stocks that we've looked at today, they were not trading during yesterday. So we don't have that price action, and I won't really have like a good idea of what things are doing this week until we see the weekly open. But as of right now, it does look like it is going to put in a higher low at the weekly 21 exponential moving average. So I'd be looking at that as a good sign. Same thing on the monthly as well. If you're going to be bullish, you should think that the lows are already in, and it should be sideways and up from here. And yeah, targets the upside, areas of interest, somewhere in this region here. I think at most you might get like a little bit above $300, but yeah, that's really all that I have to say about that, man. If it loses last week's low, I'm going to be wrong. I'm going to be massively wrong, because this thing's going to come back down to like 220, which is a pretty big move for a stock like this. But give it a chance to open up this week with the rally, because I would be looking at this as a higher low first and foremost. Again, trend trumps everything else, at least in the way that I do. At least in the way that I look at things. Anyways, Para says, can you please look at SMARDEX? SDEX, okay. All right, SDEX. SDEX. SMARDEX, all right. It feels wrong. It feels wrong to say for some reason. All right, there's your last lower high. Here's your next lower high. Downtrend. I do think that you're going to be coming down from here, man. I think that this one's hit a high here. I think it comes down and does something like this. Something like that, most likely. How would I reverse that view? It's not helpful in this regard, but a daily closure above Sunday's high. I don't think that's happening though. I think that this one's going to be coming sideways and down here. Momentum oscillators are pointed to the south side on most timeframes that matter: daily, 2-day, 3-day. Yeah, this one's coming down, man. This one's coming down. It might spike these highs again. That's possible for sure. It might spike up there, but I don't think it's going to actually go higher and sustain a move like that. Very likely it puts in like a major top right here, comes down, and I think at best it goes sideways in something resembling this manner here for a while. All right. Brody Bennett says QPM on ASX. Sure. Have a break from shitcoins. Nice. I appreciate it, man. QPM. It's questionable though, being on Australia's market. Yeah, I think I'd rather own some of the shitcoins we've seen today than this thing. I do think that it does go more up from here. I think that it probably finds its way towards like 12 cents, which is nearly a 2x move from where it's at. But long term, I don't like it, obviously. I mean, anytime I see something like this, I'm not going to like it. But I do think that you have more upside in the short term. Short term, this is a fucking monthly, right? I do think that it heads up further to the upside from here. Probably fills this gap, at least. There will be corrections along the way, but overall, I think that this one's primed to try a little bit higher. Only way that I'd reverse that view is if it comes back down below like 5.25 cent, something like that. Until then, I think you got a monthly higher low in here, and it's at least going to attempt to rally higher. Anyways, let's see what else we got. We have Tron Jeremy says GM Zers sold DERPA on the 4-hour and daily. I think we already did that one, but we probably didn't look at the 4-hour time frame, so we can go back very quickly, look at that. I think it gets a bounce attempt, relatively soon here. It's just, can it head a little bit lower first, maybe closer to like 225 or 220-ish region before that bounce attempt? Yeah, I think so. But again, extremes here multiple times on pretty much all time frames. I don't think that this thing is I actually do not think that this thing will be breaking out to new all-time highs, at least this week. But higher term timeframes, I'd still be good on. As long as you're seeing higher term timeframes close above, let's call it 225, I would be leaning towards the upside. It's just, it can trade sideways for a while. So just be aware of that. And short term bounce coming very soon. I mean, if not, it's already in the process of doing that, I guess. Maybe it bounces up to like 255, possible. Doesn't really do anything for price though, or for overall trend just yet. Ian Young says STX BTC on a weekly, looking for an opportunity and swapping some Bitcoins into STX for a bounce. Yeah, this is an interesting one. I see a lot about this one from a lot of Bitcoin maxis seem to like it, because I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I might be massively wrong on this, but Stacks is DeFi on Bitcoin, which to me would sound like a very slick narrative play. Now, when I look at the chart versus Bitcoin, don't like it. I don't like it versus Bitcoin. But if you are going to play a bounce, I think you're at actually a really good area here. I do think it can come a little bit lower, maybe maybe a little bit closer to your like official January of 2023, not 2024 lows. But very likely you do put in a bounce that has been essentially the case since its inception in January of 2020. So, I'd be betting on a big bounce from here. So it's very likely going to gain a lot versus Bitcoin. Something like this, it could bounce up like a tremendous amount. It could have like a 2x bounce easily, and still be long term bad. It could be something like that, I guess. But I do think that you're going to get a very tremendous bounce, at least somewhere around here. Maybe if things get really crazy, it'll be all the way up here. But yeah. In terms of timing, I think you are right on the money and headed in the right direction. It's just, does it spike a little bit lower first and then try for the bounce, or does it just try it from here? It really would not take too much to get this thing on a bounce like nearly immediately. Here's your weekly momentum. Here's your monthly. Like, these are pretty fucking beat up at this point. So I do think that you're extremely close to a low here. Very, very close. But I don't know what that means for the US dollar pairing. I actually do have the US dollar pairing here. It's something that I've watched for a while, although I don't own this thing and I don't like to trade it. The US dollar pairing is very similar. In fact, coming back down to the low side of the range, it might spike a little bit lower, but you're in bouncy territory right now. Very, very likely. Anyways, Lee Van D Smelt has left a super chat, but no comment, which I appreciate, but feel free to have a comment as well, man. Anyways, Crypto Rect RD says pin link. What the fuck is this? Pin link. Okay. I guess it's this thing. Sir? What the fuck? The fuck am I looking? I don't know, man. If this is a real chart, I don't fucking know. It was literally dead at 0 for half of a year, and then it sprouts up to $2 overnight. I don't fucking know on this thing, man. Yeah, I must be looking at the wrong one because that chart does not make sense. Maybe you're looking at this, which just has recent price action. If that's the case, I think it's too new to really analyze for myself. But what I could tell you about is what you already know. I'm not going to like something like this that has a downtrend, but you can't even really have a trend on the daily yet because it hasn't really put in any attempt at a bounce yet on the daily. So I think it'd be a little bit too premature to be analyzing something like this, especially on a 5-day time frame. If I had to call it down, but I would prefer not to call it, to be honest. Anyways, Cameron Malpy says, Jupiter USD, please, sir, on the daily. Very polite. Let's go over here. I actually have this one on my list, and very similar to the STX one that we just looked at. In fact, do I already have this one charted? No, I don't. Very, very similar to the STX one. Top side of your range, let's just call it 140. Bottom side of your range, whoops, not there. Okay, do my damn lines properly. 66 cent. You're playing right around some major moving averages right here. It failed to close above all major moving averages right here, which would have made this significantly easy, but I do think that it is putting in a low here. I really do think that it's putting in a low, and you're going to see this thing trade back up north of $1. But this range overall sideways can continue for a while. So while I do think you're probably bouncing here, maybe it bounces up to like 110, comes back down to 90, does something like this. But long term, as long as it's holding this range, I actually do like it long term. It's just it can take a long fucking time to snake its way out of here. So, short term, does it try for a bounce exactly here? Does it come a little bit lower? Might come a little bit lower. Could come, I guess, closer to like 80 cents. But I still think, just like the last one that we looked at, STX, you're looking for bounces in this region here. So if it gets there, I'd be looking for a bounce. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that. All right. Couch Commander 5000. Time for fun. Unicorn fart dust. Elsa, don't laugh. This is super serious! Exclamation mark. Can you get serious for once in your life? No, this is unicorn fart dust. Like, don't laugh. He specifically asked you not to laugh. Like, be respectful. That's not respectful. I'm sorry. I'll fire her later, Couch Commander. It's extremely embarrassing for me right now. No. I think you're uninvited from America. They can't let you in after a transgression like this. You think it's funny because you're immature, very immature. Stop what? Stop being serious? Like, unicorn fart dust. I do think it comes a little bit lower here in the short term, like closer to a quarter. I do think that it will bounce there as well. This one, for all jokes aside, this one at least for the history that we have, is not bad. In fact, it's probably one of the better things that we've seen today. I just think that it pulls back here a little bit more towards 25 cents and then tries for a rally. If I'm wrong and it fails below 25 cents and you see a daily closure below, let's call it like 22, then I guess at that point I'm wrong and you can expect this thing to fall apart. But I'd give it the benefit of the doubt here, actually. Yeah, I'd actually give this one the benefit of the doubt. Unlike most things, it's actually basically at the highs. Elsa, can you refill my water?
Maybe.
Well, just try not to laugh. There will be no laughing. No laughing. There will be no laughing and no fun. All right. What the fuck? I'm trying to read this right here. We looked at Aave earlier already. Anthony J says SPX. Sorry, just super chatting for people in the chat. Do you mean SPX like the actual thing, or do you mean the shitcoin? It's all good, man. I mean, that's very nice of you. If I'm looking at the actual SPX,
Did you do the Arthur one?
yes, we did Aave like a long time ago, like near the beginning. I'm actually bullish on this. Again, traditional market wasn't trading yesterday, so this one might get weird upon today's open, but for what it stands right now, I mean, sure, it might pull back a little bit, but overall I'm bullish on it. If you're talking about SPX 69,000 million, whatever the fuck's, actually not. Funnily enough, it's not terrible compared to several things that we've seen today. In fact, if anything, I do think short term it will come a little bit further to the downside, maybe even back down to like 112, 113 region, but I'd be looking for a higher low there. And for it to kind of play out a similar trading range to what we see generally across the market. It looks like the LARP lines over here have already played out. So let's do some new LARP lines. Boom, down, maybe somewhere around there. Sorry, I said 113 earlier. I might need to adjust that closer to like $1. I do think that you bounce there again too. And, if it does something like this, bullish. It's just, I wouldn't get bearish on this until you actually really start to close dailies below about 95 cents. Stop, seriously, stop laughing. Like, people come here for a serious time, not a silly goose time. You think it's funny. I get that you think it's funny, but this is not, I guess it's all tee-hee, ha-ha. Fun games for you. People here are losing their asses on Trump coin. I won't stop. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. But yeah, I do think it comes a little bit lower in the short term, I guess. Or I guess a lot lower. I mean, that is kind of a big move. Anyways.
Can you ask Leven what the request was? Because I didn't see it.
Mr. Leven, can you please repost your request so that Elsa can find it? Cruz 80 says, brother, arbitrium. Jeez, that is a hard one. So, these motherfuckers need to make their crypto coins easier to pronounce. Arbitrium? Oh, Jesus fucking, I mean, this is my worst nightmare. I have dyslexia and it's a hard word. Is it just arb? There we go. Just say that next time. All right. Bad. Surely there's more history than this. I feel like this is a long-term shitcoin. Yeah, it is. It is, and it's even worse. It goes down over a more long period of time. This is what I mean by you're not going to get an alt season in this market in the way that many people are anticipating or wanting. You're very unlikely to see your traditional altcoin season. You're going to very likely see what you have been seeing, which is some sectors take all of the fucking gains and the other ones do not. They lose all of the gains. This one here, I'm tremendously bearish on it as long as you're below about 124. Short term, I think that this one can even come a little bit lower than where it's at before it tries for another bounce, maybe closer to like 55, 60 cents. Somewhere there. It very likely will bounce, and I think the bullish hoping is that you do something like this. But for all intents and purposes, the weekly is in a very clear and obvious downtrend, and next move very likely does bring it down a little bit lower. Like I said, it very likely bounces from this region, but any bounce that, especially a bounce like below $1, I think that sets it up for even lower longer term. But I guess you kind of have to give it a chance here just because, these ranges can hold, but it's a fucking massive range. And Well, I wouldn't even call it a range. I mean, this trend, honestly. So anyways, Jay Today says, thoughts on Turbo, short and long term? Well, let's check it out first. Maybe. Let's see. Daily here. I do think it's very close to a bounce, maybe a little bit lower first, like many of these things. Maybe it officially, like, fully tests the green 55 here on the weekly first and then tries for a bounce. You kind of, if you're going to be bullish, you kind of have to look at that as a likely place for a higher low. But here's the thing, man. When I go to the monthly, I think that this one is actually reversing. I really do. So much stalling here around all-time highs and then already trading below the low of the last couple months. I think that this is very likely like a major high, honestly. Now, the monthly does still have 10 days left to go, but as long as you're below, what is this, like, as long as you're below, especially November's lows, let alone December's lows, I would be bearish on this, and I think that it's going to come significantly further to the down. There is your water, Gaylord, is what Elsa just said to me. I'm dumping you, and I'm gonna go start dating some handsome man. Not because I'm gay, but just to prove you wrong. Long term, I really do think that this one is topping out here. But if you want to play it by the book, then you wait for the monthly closure. There theoretically should be a bounce, kind of where it's at right now, maybe slightly lower towards 5.3 cents, but or 5. It's like half of a cent basically. And I guess maybe if it salvages itself back above wherever the fuck this red line is right here, I mean, by end of month, and maybe it could still be okay. But when I look at the monthly, I really do think that this is like a major high in the making. And if you see the monthly close, especially below November's lows, that's a top. That's a top, probably for many years. Yazan says, please check out Ethereum class. What? All right, fine. Where is Levin? The last one? Oh, okay, I see. Okay, there we go. Levin says, Ray BTC daily weekly K. Ray, okay, actually very interesting. We get to see something versus its Bitcoin pairing. Radium versus, very good. Very, very good. Very fucking good. You've just retested your prior high right here. So yeah, it's going to pull back a little bit, maybe pulls back to officially meet that red 5 exponential moving average right here. But after yesterday's nearly bullish engulfing dildo, I think that this thing is more of a formality. I think that this thing breaks out from here, honestly. Weekly, monthly, both bullish. Does it break out this month? Does it break out February? I don't fucking know. February, probably, if I had to guess. But short term, a little bit of a pullback. As long as this thing's above whatever the hell this ungodly number is right here on a pullback, it's bullish, man. It's bullish and very likely going to make new all-time highs. I think latest by February, but pretty good here. Although this has been, well, actually, no, it has to be very good because it's been charted versus Bitcoin. So interesting. What is this thing? What is this thing? Radium. I need to figure this out for my own knowledges right now. Wow. Holy shit fuck. Okay. So it literally made new all-time highs yesterday. Barely even pulled back. Closed the day up. Yeah, powerful, man. Very powerful. Nice pick, man. Anyways, Yazan wants to look at ETC, Ethereum Classic. I don't know if you know this, but there's a new one. Watching Ethereum this cycle, I'm gonna say something that might piss a lot of people off, but I'm just gonna say it. Watching Ethereum this cycle, like the real Ethereum, not this. Well, I guess this one is a real Ethereum, but you know what I mean, the one that they actually work on. Watching Ethereum this cycle makes me really consider what a lot of the people told me when I first came into the space, who are already in the space and kind of were in the know, and they always hated Ethereum. They always hated Ethereum. But these were like old school guys from pre-2016. And I think the major reason why they hated Ethereum is because one, they didn't like Vitalik, and then two, they didn't like how they created a new chain when something went wrong. I think that will always kind of be like a dark spot for Ethereum. Anyways, Ethereum Classic here. It's not the strongest thing of all time. Is it going to fail here? No, I don't think it is. Does it have a monthly high or low? Yes, it does. Did it retest the last prior high? Yes. So it's probably reversing, especially as long as it's above all major moving averages here on a monthly, which it will be as long as it's above about $25 right now. It is above $25. So I do think that it does follow through to the upside overall. In the short term, might retest these lows a little bit below $24. That's fine. Just don't want to see monthly closures below there. I think this one, similar to Ethereum, is probably put in a low here. Yeah. Long term, I mean, at least it goes up over the long term, and it does hold macro higher lows. So you got that. But even compared to Ethereum, like the other one, the other Ethereum, it's relatively weak, which is not the best sign. But yeah, if I had to call it here, I think that this one will actually probably trade closer to $50 before March is over. That's what I'd be saying about that. Anyways, we have Shane Rabidou. He says, hello from Thailand. Good morning, sir. How about Altura ALU? Okay, ALU. Let's check. Okay, it is indeed a cryptocurrency, a highly esteemed cryptocurrency even. Look, you do have a monthly reversal here. You have a higher high and a higher low. Okay, so I'm always going to like that. But you are at your last prior major breakdown region. So this is a very common pullback region. You did get a major pullback last month. So that actually probably is it. I think it goes a little bit more sideways here around the highs, but I do think that this one will break out to the upside. I'd be bullish on this, especially as long as you're above, let's just call it 10 cents on a weekly closing basis. Even the daily is kind of relatively strong here, especially compared to, again, many things that we've seen today. So, does it come a little bit lower first, close to 10 cents? Maybe, but I'd be looking for a higher low there if it does. And if not, I mean, maybe it just tries from here. But yeah, that's what I say about this. Overall, like I said, I respect the monthly reversal, so I'm a lot more inclined to say this one probably breaks through again before end of March. If I look at the quarterly, even the quarterly has a reversal too. So nice. Truco Production says, hey Krown, is this XLM pump over or try higher? Let's check it out. This is like XRP's little brother. Did it have the same rally as XRP? Similar, although did not make new highs. Is the rally over? Okay, so like we've seen this a few times today already. Whenever you're around prior major highs, so this would be the high from 2021 and the high from 2017, these are common pullback regions, but I think you've already had that pullback right here and volatility is cooling off. It's just, I think that this phase can go on for a lot longer, and you're going to create a trading range between essentially your December lows versus your December or your November highs. In kind of like the more relative short term. And in the short term, I do think that this one will test some downside here compared to where it's at right now. Maybe it comes a little bit closer to like 35 or 36 cents. But, if you see it turn around there, that's going to be a higher low. So while I do think short term, it comes a little bit lower. Yes, just be mindful that you got higher lows as long as you're above essentially like 32, 33 cents. So I don't look at that as bad. And then long term, as long as it holds within this range, that does give it a bullish bias, and the weekly momentum oscillator is about to turn back onto the upside if this thing closes the week off above 38 cents. So just be aware of that. Most higher term timeframes look pretty good to me. There is also an extremely obvious area to be calling a top, and that would be is if you see the monthly come below December's low and especially close below there, which is 31 cents. So if you see that, okay, this thing is going to fall apart. You're going to see it back down below 20 cents, which is a massive fucking move. But until then, I'd be much more on the side of this thing actually reaccumulating here on the short-term timeframes and then trying another move to the upside. Monthly momentum oscillator is actually very interesting right here too. So I'd be leaning towards still upside actually, even though that sounds a little bit crazy. But again, my line in the sand. So that's what I would say about that. Anyways. XRen says, hello again, good sir. Hello, good sir. Coin daily, weekly. Oh yeah, let's check it. Well, again, it could be more interesting just because we don't have this week's opening price just yet, but I do like the way that Coinbase closed out last week. It closed on a bullish engulfing dildo just by a hair, but hey, that is That is significant. Yeah, it did close above by about $2. The monthly, again, I don't hate this. As long as it's above that red moving average, I'm going to be long-term bullish. Monthly momentum is about to turn back onto the upside, assuming that this thing closed above 256. I'll tell you straight up as well. I own this thing. I fucking own this thing. No, I own it in my, in my stock trading, I guess portfolio, if you want to call it that, in my Vanguard account. And I won't be letting it go until that condition is unmet. So let's just say if this monthly comes back down below 255 and closes there, okay, I'm going to take my profit and be gone. Also understand that I've been in since, 2023 when it was trading at like 70 to $80. So, maybe that might be different. It's probably different for someone who's trading on like the 5-minute time frame right here. But as of right now, I think that this is fine. Maybe it pulls back again closer to like 270 or 280. That's fine. That doesn't do anything for me. I think that this thing is getting ready for a real breakout, honestly. I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing trading closer to $400 by the end of March. Maybe not exactly $400, but close to there, somewhere around there. Anyways, let's see. Truco said, hey, Krown, ING on weekly, putting in rounding bottom. Sure. All right. INJ. Got it. Okay. This one is injective, and it's had a good run last year, I guess, but yeah. Okay. I was just on too high of a time frame. All right. Same shit that we've seen many times today already. Weekly trading range right here. It did reject off the top side of the range, coming down to the bottom side of the range. I do think it is trying to put in a low, kind of where it's at right now, actually. I do think it might spike this last week's low again, but I would be looking for it to actually try for a bounce. Well, then again, I go down to the daily and I think lower. I do think that you will retest last week's low, so somewhere around here. Let's call it. Maybe it tries for another bounce there. If it fails, then I'd be looking, I guess, closer towards like $15. Long term, it's not terrible. Obviously, it has made new highs this cycle, and I'd generally be long-term bullish on it as long as it is within this trading range here. The only way to get bearish on it is if you do see it below $14. Until then, I think that this is a bullish reset on the higher term timeframes. Weekly momentum is coming all the way down while price action is basically in the middle of the range. And has potential put in a higher low, assuming that it closes above about $16, or just doesn't fail below $16. Yeah. I don't think it's moving to the upside anytime soon, to be honest. Well, anytime soon, at least not this month. Maybe it tries in February, but corrective for a while, something like this. Anyways, Cameron Malpe says, Elsa, can you get him some water? Fuck yeah. There we go. PPUSD. Okay, so let's look at some PP action. All right. Is it big PP or little PP action? Little PP action topping out here for a very long time, I think. In fact, very close to confirming a big breakdown, in my opinion. Below, what is this, December's low, which is very close to right now. This might even just be a formality at this point. But below December's low, I'd be looking for this thing to come down significantly somewhere here. I do think it's going to find its way there. Momentum is pointed to the downside. Weekly, monthly doesn't really count because it doesn't have enough history. 10-day is down. Daily is probably down. I think that this thing is coming down, man. Somewhere in this vicinity here. Probably tries for a bounce there, but what is the weekly going to look like at that point? Yeah, monthly is going to start to look like a major top. Yeah, I think that this one's topping out here, man. I do. But again, if you want to play it by the book, wait for at least a daily closure below your mid-December lows. Cool. Anthony J says, MLG 360 no scope, please. This is a new one. MLG. All right, it is a real thing. I remember this one back from my Call of Duty playing days. Maybe we can find an exchange with more history. Okay, not much more, but it is a little bit more. Look, there's not much to be looking at right here, man. I don't like the history that it does have, but it's very limited. So as always, I want to acknowledge when there's very limited history. I don't trust my opinion that much in these circumstances. You know, crazy pumps can come out of nowhere and crazy dumps can come out of nowhere. But if I had to call it just based off of the 4-hour trend, which is not much, it is very obviously a downtrend. And I think you're probably putting your next lower high right here. Probably works its way down from where it's currently at least in the short term. But again, I'm going off of very little with something like this. That's really only been around for like 2 weeks or less than 2 weeks, actually. Anyways. Anthony J says, Joe, please and thank you. All right. I remember this one from 2021, so there should be some good history here. Well, good history is there's a lot of history. I don't know if it's good history though. That's what I'd say about that, man. I do think that this one is coming back down to the low side of your range. I don't like this long term. Did not make new highs in 2024. Didn't even get anywhere near prior highs in 2024 for that matter. I do think it's going to come back down and test somewhere around this magical line right here, but should bounce as well. Should try for another bounce. I don't think it's going to like break down right now. I think you're going to get something like this, you know, a little bit further down, boom, bounce, and hopefully for your sake it goes sideways from there, assuming that you are playing the long game. More than anything, I think it's just irrelevant, honestly. Hard one to love as long as it's below those March of 2024 highs. Like long term, it's just like, what is it going to do to the upside? It's just going to be range plays until then. So yeah. And to be fair, I mean, it is downtrending on pretty much all time frames that matter. Shit, even the monthly. I mean, God, that is just ugly. So yeah, I think it's going to spike a little bit lower first. It's very likely to bounce there as well, however. But, you know, bounce and then sideways for a long time. Hard one to love, sir. Robert Becerra says, hey, bro, good job boxing. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Can you check out Algo Round? Yeah, let's check it out here. Algo. And okay, let's get the long-term view on this one. Yeah, I remember this one was a 2020 shitcoin as well. Again, I just don't like these things that do not put in those big rallies in 2024. It's just, anyways, there is some hoping for this one in the short term, though. I do think that it is putting in a weekly reversal here. You have a higher low and a higher high, and it's putting in what seems to be another higher low right here. Yes, that could also imply that it does come back down somewhere to like low 30 cents. That's possible, but I would be looking at this as putting in a low in this region here, and very likely going to try ultimately somewhere around the top side of the range, more long term. Somewhere between like 70, let's just call it like 80 cents to maybe even around or a little bit above $1. But yeah, actually do think that this one is going to push a little bit higher from here. This is a very interesting day. We've seen a decent split from a lot of things in this market. A lot of things looking very ugly, and a lot of things looking, I mean, consolidationary and higher lows. But yeah, this thing, we'll see weekly momentum turn back up if it closes above 37.5 cents. Right now it's well above there. So I don't even know if you get like a short-term downside move. This thing might just pop back up. I just wouldn't be bearish on this as long as you're above your December lows. That's really all that it comes down to. And I'd generally be looking somewhere around at least this region right here. Now, very, very long-term, monthly, I guess you could make the argument for a top right there, but even then, still December lows is the line in the sand for this one. Yeah, that's what I say about this. I'm just very skeptical of, again, things that in 2024 did not retest or get anywhere closer to 2021 highs. That's never a good sign in my experience. Or very rarely a good sign. I mean, it's not a good sign, obviously, but very, very rarely does it work out well. Anyways, let's see. You missed Anthony J. Oh no, you did not miss him. Thanks, bro. Damn degenerates in here. All good, man. All good. I'll stick around for a little bit of time as well. Let's see. Okay, lots of shitcoins requests today. Lots of shitcoins requests. Second Tim 32 says, feels like the bear market and we're all being slow rugged. I mean, there's certainly some names that we've seen today that I would certainly agree with that statement, but I don't think I still personally, I cannot get bearish on Bitcoin, or bearish is not even the right word, but I cannot even look at Bitcoin as likely to come down to low 90,000, especially as long as it's above $100,000 on that 5-day right here. So, you know, it does make that a lot more difficult. Again, today would have been so much easier if Bitcoin just closed above 103. Closed a fucking hair below that though. Annoying, man. Show us the Trump coin, skip the rest. We actually looked at that at the beginning of the stream. You know, again, this is what I was saying yesterday. I think launching a coin like this was just really fucking short-sighted. Like, whoever was advising Trump to do this is a fucking idiot. I mean, well, he's a greedy idiot. Well, I guess in some ways he's kind of smart. I mean, he probably enriched himself, I suppose. But he's a fucking idiot if the goal is to, I guess, make people excited about Trump or something. I mean, this is exactly what you don't want to happen, man. Just a blow off top from 75 down to, you know, a low of 30 real fast in like less than a day, it seems like. You know, yeah, it might rally again, but hard to love, man. I think that leaves a sour taste in many people's mouth, and that's not a great way to introduce a lot of people to cryptocurrencies. Probably his son Barron. Yeah, I don't understand what all of the commotion is about his son Barron. I mean, maybe he's like a, you know, super smart guy, but like I haven't heard him even say a fucking word. I haven't heard him say a fucking word. Like I want to hear him speak before I judge someone. I mean, he's very young from what I understand. Like, what does a fucking 18-year-old know about? A fucking 18-year-old doesn't know shit from fuck. I mean, shit, even when you become like 25, 30, like you still are barely a person at that point. Just my opinion, man. The people are poor. The people are poor indeed. I mean, it's just like, how do you launch Trump coin and then Melania meme? Like, oh God, why? Don't fucking do this, man. Like, what are you thinking? This is not the right way to do it. I'll read a few more of these. Hawk Trumpa. I'm actually curious. What is the Hawk Tua thing still here? Hawk Tua. Holy shit! There's like a bunch of them. Oh my god! All super low market caps. I'm guessing these are all rug deals. It's a rug farm. I'm swapping Trump coin to unicorn fart. I mean, unicorn fart dust. not terrible. Not terrible at least compared to that. Yes, we did look at Ethereum earlier, Mr. Andrew. I have so many candles lit up, I may burn the house down. Jesus. Yeah, I mean, we can even go back to Ethereum here. Like I said, Ethereum, I do think it is putting in a low here, but that doesn't mean it's out of the woods with spiking 3,100 or even 3,000 again. I mean, it's very possible, but it's just, oh man, Ethereum just takes every chance that it gets to fail fucking miserably. It's actually insane. I even tried to play Ethereum this past week, and I'm like, holy shit, fuck this thing. This thing really is awful to trade, at least. But you know, is the daily putting in a low? If it's going to put in a low, this has to be the area. It has to be above 3,000. It absolutely must be above 3,000. And personally, I would generally be bullish on Ethereum as long as it's above 3,000 to close out this month. That's going to force your momentum also to back up. You're still going to be an uptrend here. It's just a laggard. It's just not super interesting, I suppose. Baron dresses like a 60-year-old in the 80s. Something like that, man. Bro, it's surprising Trump is so greedy. Like, did he make money off? Does he actually have the money? Like, who is making the money off that?
Sir, I don't think it's actually Trump who.
Well, no, it's not Trump, but like he endorsed it. Like he posted it on his social medias and shit like that. So like he must be involved in some way, I'm guessing. But either which way, like, don't think that was wise, man. I think that was very short-sighted, very, very short-sighted. Let's read a few more of these. Dang, I felt that for Ethereum. Yeah, it just takes every fucking chance it can to fail. Ethereum Bitcoin, yeah, that's actually an interesting one to watch as well. Like in Ethereum Bitcoin, it had its chance to bottom. What was this, back in November? It's just lower highs the whole. This is why trend is so fucking important. Until the trend reverses, it's more likely to continue than not. This one has not reversed yet. It's so beat up here. Like, it makes it very difficult though for something like this, because it's so beat up here that it really would not take too much to get like a very big bounce, you know? I mean, when this thing bounces, it's going to bounce above 4 million Satoshis, maybe even 4.5 million Satoshis, which is a tremendously massive move, but it's like a 50% move from where it's at right now. But, but when does it bounce? I mean, bounce, people who have been betting on a bounce have been wrong since, they've been wrong since 2022. Yeah, that's exactly, I could not agree more with that, Mr. Mickey. Yeah, you fuck with people's money and their opinion will change of you very fast, very fucking fast. Like, it's easy to be a fan of someone until you lose money investing in their thing, and it's like, oh god, they're gonna fucking hate you. I feel like you guys, but I think he brought us some 100 million more customers. Yeah, I mean, he probably brought in a shit ton of people into the space, but within 2 days, most of them are wrecked. I mean, it's not a good introduction to crypto, man. I don't know. I can't really make a good argument for it. Like, I can't make a good spin on it, honestly. I'm not a Trump hater. I'm not a Trump lover. I just don't think that was that was the best. We could look at XRP really quickly. Sure, why not? Before we log off. XRP, I even added it to my list. Not that I have it, but it's fun to watch as it is one of the more strong ones recently. Still pretty good, man. Still pretty good overall. Similar to Bitcoin here, but this one's in a slightly stronger position. As long as it's above that daily 21, which is 275, it's just higher lows, man. It's just higher lows. If it starts to close below 275, okay, then I start to think top. But until it closed below 275, I do think that this one probably has one more push to the upside to new all-time highs. And, you know, for some like XRP in a market, you know, in this time in the market cycle as well, things can get pretty crazy. So I really wouldn't put it past it. But 275 is my line in the sand. Below there, on especially a weekly, I would probably just call it top. I would call it top for a very long time, and well below $2 after that. No people need to get wrecked. We all have been before. Welcome to the game, plebs. Yeah, I can understand that. I can understand that sentiment. You know, it's a part of the game, but still, man. I think at this scale with like a very general audience, because, you know, you have to understand, most of the people here right now, not everyone, because I do understand that some people really are actually like serious people, but most people here right now, myself included, like, we're fucking weird crypto people to everyone else. You understand this, right? Like, it's a different type of person, I think. It really is, you know, because you get into this space for, you know, because you have a certain type of risk tolerance, generally. And I don't know if those people who are onboarded, I don't know if they're going to feel the same way, man. Hyperliquid, yeah, this one gets called out very often. We looked at it last week. I said I don't like it. Last week, that was right here at about $25. It came down back to the lows. I do think it does now have a chance to actually reverse and put in a decent rally, because we do see that yesterday, even though it did, you know, even though it did close as a doji, this is potential for a higher low compared to the lows that we saw from early January. So I do think if it's going to reverse at any point, this would be it. Before I was bearish on it, but it did come down, so that has been fulfilled. I do think next move is up. It's just, does it actually reverse? Where does it reverse? So if this current balance brings it back above, well, especially your last Thursday's high, like the last area that we were looking at around $24.50, okay, you have a reversal on your hands. This thing can rally up decently from there, $30, maybe more, but I'd say at least around $30 if that happens. Until then, you just have the potential for a reversal. But personally, I think that it will put into balance here. That's just my personal opinion. No, I'm not weird. You're weird. Let's see. Do you ever use grid bots? No, I would never use a grid bot. It's the grid trading strategy is just absolutely fucking retarded, in my opinion. The reason being because there's no edge on having just like a grid where you buy and sell. I mean, you're going to get absolutely chewed up on something like that. The Balkan flutes only. Gold, yeah. Let's look at gold. I haven't looked at gold in a very long time. I'm actually genuinely curious what it's looking like right now. Long term, good. Monthly, still good. Short term, sideways range, and it just hit the top side of the range and backed off from it. So I'd say short term corrective, maybe comes back down to like, I don't know, 2650. I think get really crazy, like low 2600. But higher term timeframes are still bullish. Very likely makes new all-time highs this quarter. Before end of March. Anyways, going back to Bitcoin here, looks like it is trying its own rally attempt. Like I said, the way that I'm looking at this, the way that I'd personally be playing this is, as long as it's above yesterday's low on a daily closing basis, I think that there's a little bit of hopium here. Second that it starts to lose that and close below there, that's the point where we're going to be ranging in this fucking cursed $100,000 to $90,000 range for, I would imagine, at least another few weeks. But yeah. All right. Actually, some of these are like really interesting questions. I'll pick this one out right here. Ian James says, "Yo, Krown, what do you think about AI market analysis? Do you think it has potential to provide an edge to end users of it?" I think at some point, certainly, yeah. I mean, I've been training my own AI chatbot, and I'm very impressed with how good these things are already. And of course, they're only going to get better. So I could definitely see that in the future. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I will no longer be needed, but fair enough. I mean, the other question would be is like, well, okay, here's what I'd say. If you could have someone train the AI who is an analyst or a trader or whatever, you could create a really, really good one. But it's not just going to come out of like ChatGPT, for example. You're not going to be able to like ask ChatGPT, "Hey, can you just analyze this?" It's going to give you some kind of generic response that is somewhat useful, but not very not very unique. Have you heard caffeine AI? No. What is it? What is caffeine AI? I mean, I like caffeine and I like AIs, but I don't know what that is, man. I'd like to know an AI signal bot. I mean, that's called algorithmic trading, sir. That's called algorithmic trading. Yeah, let's look at Sui, actually. Sui's one that's been very popular, although I did say that it is topping out last week. And yeah, I don't want to toot my own horn here, but I still think it's topping out. I think that this one's coming down significantly. Yeah. I think that this one sees like 3.5 to 330 in the next month. Sometime between now and the end of, or sometime between now and like a month from now. Yeah, I think that this one's topped out for a long time. Short term, does it try for a bounce here? Maybe yes, but yeah, I think this one's done for a while. Again, extremes. Momentum turning down on all time frames. Yeah, I have to be downside angled on something like this. If I'm wrong on this, I'm going to be fucking tremendously wrong. Like, really, really awfully wrong. And you'll know that I'm wrong if it trades back above about 515. 515 would be my line in the sand. Until then, I do think that this one's topped out for a very long time. PP, we did that one earlier. I think that one was also topping out, if memory serves me correctly, but you can reference it from the show notes later. Jasmy sounds like an absolute shitcoin that probably is going nowhere, but let's check it out. Let's keep an open mind here. Is it going to $1? It's literally below 3 cents right now. This is how crazy this sorry man, I don't mean to make an example out of you, but this is how crazy this market is. So it's at 3 fucking cents. This is the real chart. It will never go to $1 again. Okay, I shouldn't say that. I think it's extremely unlikely you'll ever see this thing at $1 again. I think best case scenario, if this thing even rallies a lot, would be like 20 cents. And that's like full on bull goggles type shit. This is garbage. And I remember that this one is, I vividly remember this one because the scam bots in all of the YouTube comments, they had one for Jasmy, where all these bots would be like, I used to be poor and broke and had HIV, and then I bought Jasmy, and now my dick is 10 feet long. It's like, oh, sounds legit. There's like 50 fucking comments of that. So to me, that's a big sign that it is absolute garbage. And yeah, this is, well, that is absolute garbage. $1? Fuck no, man. SAI breaking down from here, or are we looking for a bounce? Yeah, this one's also one that I'm following. I don't like the way that the weekly closed. I do think that this one, is it going to try for a bounce here? Yes. I'm skeptical on this bounce reclaiming anything significant, and reclaiming something significant would have to be 10 cents on a bounce. Or sorry, actually I could adjust that down. 9 cents on a bounce. On this next bounce, which very likely does come, I do think this week, it must reclaim 9 cents. Otherwise, no, I think that this one's topped out, at least for a little bit of time, and could easily come down to 5 cents. So yeah, rotate your profits, people, play the game. Yeah, that's definitely been that's been the right play this cycle, honestly. In prior cycles, you kind of got rewarded a little bit if you just held and wait for many things. This cycle, it's been sector, with just a few hot things in that sector that massively pull it up. And, those narratives have not lasted too long at any one point. I mean, maybe a couple months, 2 to 3 months at most, for many of these things. So yeah, it's a fucking hard game, man. It's a fucking hard game. Pin Inc. We'll do Pin Inc. for a second time. Pin Inc. All right. Oh, I think we looked at this one earlier. Yeah, we did look at this one earlier. I don't see even like really a real chart here. And not enough history, man. I don't have an opinion on something that's this new. If anything, I'm just going to say bad because it's down, but it's been around for like a week. Gala? Who the fuck is still looking at Gala? All right. I'm actually curious just to know like what a prior cycle shitcoin has done. It's exactly where you'd expect. Absolute fucking garbage. Absolute fucking garbage. Absolute fucking garbage, man. Absolute fucking garbage. Yeah. I mean, look, it could even rally from here. I would be surprised if it even reclaims 2024 highs. I'd feel very confident saying that this thing will never, very, very unlikely, extremely unlikely ever even see above like half of $1. Terrible. This is how most shitcoins look over a long period of time. This is really par for the course. This just down, just terrible, just fucking terrible. Again, I'm not talking shit about you as a person. You're probably great. You're probably an amazing person, but you have terrible taste in cryptocurrency coins. Anyways, John Berger says Cardano 4-hour and daily. Sure, we can do that. Maybe we call it a day. I've been yapping a little bit too long anyways. Cardurpio? It's like reject right at your range highs. It does have a chance here. It actually does have a chance, but short term, I do think it'll test a little bit of downside. Here's your kind of short term range on the daily. Might play all the way back down to like low 80 cents right now, trading at 96. But as long as you're above about 82, 83 cents, I do think that it could reaccumulate here and push on higher. So maybe something like this if it's going to be bullish. And I do think you'll at least get a bounce attempt off of this region right here. And yes, short term, I do think that this one will come down somewhere around there. But as long as you're above 82 cents, you can still have a bit of a bullish bias. If it starts to lose 82 cents, if you start to see this one close below 82 cents, especially on a daily or definitely on a weekly, that would be my signal that this thing is coming back down to like 60 or 50 or who knows how low it goes after that. But give it a chance here again, as long as it's above 82. I give, I'd rather be lenient for something like this. Jupiter, we done that one a lot earlier. Trump already has 2 NFT. Yeah, I know. He has 2 NFT collections, a couple of meme coins. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing, dude? What are you doing? We looked at Algo earlier. I forget about it, but you can scroll back or wait for the show notes to come out. The timestamps. Ian James says, if AI does start to impact market participants, how do you see basic market analysis evolving? You mean if AI does start to impact market participations? I think you're, maybe I'm not thinking like progressively enough, but I think that you're giving the AI a little bit too much credit, like start to impact market participations. So what just makes people more interested in markets, or like, what do you mean by that? I don't understand what you mean by that. How do you see, I think basic market analysis from an AI, you're going to very easily be able to get an AI that can tell you like, obvious pivot points. Like the stuff that I use for pivot points on price is mostly based off of trend. I imagine that's not impossible to train an AI on. In fact, I'm sure it's not. Or if it is right now, it should easily be available in the not so distant future. So you'll definitely be able to do, I think, rudimentary stuff, but the rudimentary stuff is honestly the most important stuff anyways, especially for most people, because most people are just long-term investors, because most people actually have like real lives and real jobs, and they don't have the time to focus on, trading, which requires constant focus. So I don't know if it's going to change it that much, honestly. Yeah. Humans have emotional responses. AI may not. Yeah, but you're programming the AI. How much of leverage the human factor? I don't understand. How much of market makers leverage the? Oh, well, I'm sorry, sir, but you do not understand what a market maker does. I used to be a market maker in equity options. This also really pisses me off when people say this, and you just didn't know, because this is like the boogeyman. The market makers are the boogeymans in all markets, but the market makers are literally just making markets, and essentially their sort of main focus is to be delta neutral. So they're not playing direction. They don't care about direction. If they are caring about direction, that's a different thing. That's probably like a quant firm, like a big quant firm that has a shit ton of money. Yeah, they're going to play direction. They're going to try to paint things in the way that they want. But market makers, I mean, for the most part, it's just some sort of arbitrage. You see on one exchange, Bitcoin's trading for 100,000, and on another exchange, it's trading for 900 or 99,999. It's like you have a $1 arbitrage. You lock that in as many times as you can because it's immediate. I don't know why that really pisses me off, but it does. It's just like, it's like the boogeyman in market. Everyone just blames market makers for all of their fucking failures. Just like, what? I don't get it. Trump has always been a grifter. He had gold coins. I mean, yeah, I actually do agree with that. Even though I voted for Trump, or I would vote for Trump over his opponent. But yeah, I would also acknowledge that as well. Yeah, he has been a grifter. I mean, I can't imagine myself making my own fucking coin. And he's also a massive narcissist as well. Like the way he talks, like no one thought that this could ever be done, but we did it. No one's ever seen something like we've done before. It's like, can you imagine saying that? Like, I can't say that with a straight face. Like, look, I did this. No one can fucking do this, idiots. It's like, I don't know. It just seems pretty crazy to me. But I say that, and I would massively prefer him over the opposition this go around. We already looked at super. We already looked at these things. I think that's enough for today, guys. My voice is starting to leave me, and I need to run a few errands. And we've already had a pretty nice long stream. In fact, over 2 hours. Holy shit, man! Very, very cool indeed. Anyways, we'll be back on with another live stream either Thursday or Friday. I haven't decided exactly yet. Probably Friday. But we'll see. We'll see exactly when it happens. As always, if you cannot make the live streams, you can always post your questions here in the Q&A session or section on Discord, which you can find a link to Discord in the description below. And other than that, we'll be back on tomorrow with just a regular Bitcoin analysis, probably a lot more interesting as well, seeing as we'll have U.S. markets opened and trading for the first day since inauguration, and all sorts of antics, I'm sure, to follow today as well. So I think that a lot of the things that we were looking at today are going to be we're going to have the answers for a lot of that before end of week as to like where things are going. But today is kind of difficult because we don't have U.S. markets open just yet. So that's what it is for now. Mr. Bear Nutrition, good morning to you, sir. And we'll sign off on that note. As always, take care, much love,